In Victoria, that's 275 new cases since our last update. 28 of those cases are connected to known and contained outbreaks. 247 of those cases are under investigation by our rapidly expanding public health team. There are 147 Victorians in hospital. 31 of those are receiving intensive care. I am sad to have to inform you that another Victorian, a further fatality has occurred. A woman has died in her 80s. That brings to 39 the total number of deaths as a result of this virus. There are some 2,913 active cases. In terms of testing, yesterday was 26,588 tests. And again, we take the opportunity to thank every single Victorian who's come forward to get tested despite even the mildest of symptoms. That's a really powerful contribution that every single person who gets tested makes to us being able to track this virus, to have people isolate in their home, to limit the spread. Logic tells you that without that sort of data, without that evidence, it becomes very, very challenging to limit the spread of this virus, no matter what settings you have in place, no matter what rules you have in place. So we're always very grateful to such a large number of Victorians coming forward and getting tested. That is now 1,331,774 tests since January 1. One of the highest testing rates anywhere in the world, and a central component, a key component to our battle against this enemy. James is going to speak a little bit about schools. Obviously today is the first day for remote and flexible learning for those prep to year 10 students, other than of course students who can't learn from home because their parents are working, other than of course VCE students, including year 10 students who are doing a VCE or VCAL subject, other than those specialist schools where it was deemed after a lot of work, a lot of very careful work with parents, as well as other kids with special needs. They will be at school, but everybody else will be at home. I appreciate and understand that that is very challenging for many families. That's not what we had hoped for term 3, but given the prevalence of the virus in our community, given the nature of our strategy about limiting contact, about limiting movement, it was deemed appropriate, based on the very best of health advice, to not have the best part of 700,000 students moving around Victoria each and every day, as well as of course their parents, guardians, carers. That is not conducive with limiting the spread of this virus, but I do appreciate and understand just how challenging that is at a household by household level, at a family by family level. I know our eldest is in year 12, he's at school, our other 2 kids are at home. They would much prefer to be at school with their friends, they'd much prefer to be learning that way, but we've all got to make the best of these very challenging circumstances. We can't afford to ignore the absolute truth of what we face, and that is that this virus is not yet contained. We need to drive these numbers down. The powerful reality of our circumstances, we can't wish it away, we can't ignore it. We've got to put in place a strategy that will be effective, provided that everybody across the state is a part of that strategy. I'm deeply grateful to each and every Victorian who is staying at home, only going out for those 4 permitted reasons, and limiting the number of times they go out under any of those 4 reasons. I'm very grateful to parents, very grateful to every single Victorian who is following those rules and making their own unique and powerful, a really powerful effort that will ultimately continue to drive these numbers down and get us to a place where we can begin opening up again, getting past this second wave. Just before I ask James to take us through some of the arrangements for masks in schools, some of the other arrangements that many of which I suppose they were first put in place, but they continue on for remote and flexible learning. I just wanted to make a couple of comments in relation to the hotel quarantine judicial inquiry that begins today. I want to thank both Justice Coate and all of those working to run that inquiry, to give us the answers that we need to understand exactly what has gone wrong in that hotel quarantine program. They've wasted no time. They've put in a power of work to get to this point. And of course that formally begins in a public facing way. That formally begins today, and I'm very confident that that process will give us the answers that we are each entitled to. What has gone on here is completely unacceptable to me and indeed unacceptable to all of us. But the best thing to do is to have that proper understanding of exactly what has gone on, those answers. That's what we're entitled to, and that's what the judicial process at arm's length from government will appropriately deliver. I'm very confident of that.